Welcome to the Single Mom Glow Up, the podcast where we're spilling all the tea on single motherhood, self care, and dating. I'm Bree, your host and fellow single mom navigating life, love, and everything in between. Wherever you are on your single mom journey, this is the place where you will find real stories, honest advice, and a community that just gets it. So, buckle up if you're driving, and if you're chilling, grab your favorite drink. And if you are like cleaning or something, I'm just honored to be your cleaning vibe. Let's dive in. This week's episode is all about balance. Once again, I've got my notes, so if you see me looking down, looking like I'm reading, it's because I am girly, okay? You already know how I am. And if you don't, welcome. I'm a little scatterbrained, and yeah, I got my trusty notes. It's a lot. It's a doozy, okay? So let's get into it. Balance isn't something that you just achieve one day and have forever. Balance is a practice. It is something you have to actively do. And as I will talk about multiple times during this, you can get skilled at balance, right? Like you can get very skilled at it, but it's not just something that you just have. You can't just achieve balance and one day you just. So, balance is a practice, okay? And we'll get into the details of that throughout this, okay? If you are a juggler, right? You're juggling, let's say you're juggling 3 bowling pins. I don't know. That's what single motherhood is, right? Juggling 3 bowling pins while you're walking on a balance beam, right? Not easy. And so some days you'll just have the 3 bowling pins on a beam, right? Other days, God will keep throwing things at you to juggle. He'll throw a plate, he'll throw a ball, he'll throw a baby. Like, you gotta juggle stuff, right? And then some days, it's not how much you have to juggle in your hands, it's where you are, right? So you're not on a beam anymore, you're on a seesaw, or maybe you're on a ball or a unicycle, right? Some days, you might feel like you're on solid ground and all you have to focus on is the juggling in your hands, right? So if you achieve balance, practicing your default of 3 things to juggle on a beam, and then you think you're done, you're going to be sorely disappointed when something is added, right? And maybe even when something is taken away. Probably not, because that just makes it easier. But do you get what I'm saying? Like, balance is a practice. Balance is something that there can always be something else added. And so as long as you're practicing it, you can become more skilled at it, but you'll never have it. It's not something that you have. Okay. So if you treat balance as a practice, it makes the process of balancing easier overall. Okay. Stick with me here. Hear me out. Okay. When I used to think that balance was something that I needed to achieve, every time I felt unbalanced, right? That black and white duality of I'm either balanced or I'm unbalanced. Every time I felt unbalanced, which was very often, more often than not, I felt like I was failing as a mom and just as a person in general, right? Because I didn't have balance. No matter how hard I tried, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't achieve it. And it made me feel embarrassed. It made me feel ashamed. It made me feel awful. And it made me just super hard on myself. And then I was also hopeless about ever achieving balance because it seemed impossible. But the thing is, it is impossible. It's impossible to achieve balance because it is a practice. Like yoga is a practice, right? Specifically asana, which is the yoga postures that most of us commonly associate with yoga. But yoga is like an 8-limbed practice, and the asana and the movement is really only one limb. Anywho, yoga is a practice, but I can't be yoga. I can't sit here and say, because I do yoga, I am yoga. No, like, it's something that you do, it's something that you practice. There is, was, and will always be something more that I can learn from yoga. The same thing is true with most virtues. I know yoga, okay, I'm not going to get into that because you could technically put yoga in the virtue category if you include some of the other limbs. But no, other virtues like humility, honesty, or trust, like you never actually achieve full humility. You will never be like people say that I'm humble, right? They can say I'm humble, but they haven't reached maximum humbleness. They will never 100% be humble, right? Same thing for honesty. You can't be 100% fully honest all the time. It is a practice, right? Even if you think that you're being fully honest, chances are because of human error and just human bias and just humanness in general, you're not going to be able to be completely honest. You can be completely honest on a certain thing in a certain situation, right? But there are going to be times where you are not completely honest or you leave something out or whatever it is, right? You'll never be 100% honest. Same thing with trust. You're never going to achieve full trust. And that is because these things are virtues, they are practices. Okay. And if you think that you do achieve 100% on these things, whether it is humility, whether it is honesty, whether it is trust, I challenge you to dig a little deeper because you're not. These virtues, like balance, aren't goals for us to achieve, but they are guideposts for us to live by. Balance is just a guidepost. Trust, just a guidepost. Honesty, a guidepost. Humility, a guidepost. Okay? You're not going to have the guidepost and it will be forever moving away. But it's teaching you where to go and teaching you how to be and how to get closer to it and how to be the most authentic. Actually, we're getting a little too philosophical here. I'm talking to you about balance, okay? We're not going to get into all that philosophy. We've already done enough, okay? What I do want to say, what I do want to say is that when you do feel unbalanced, that's a good thing because it is an opportunity for you to practice balance and get better at it. Not have it, not obtain it, but to be better at it, to get better at it. Okay? All right. Enough philosophy. Let's get into the practicality. How can you practice this in your daily life as a single mom? Literally, this is like the easiest thing, but it's not necessarily the full thing, right? You can just remind yourself, like literally just remind yourself. Next time you're feeling unbalanced, or next time you're feeling like dookie because you failed at balance, okay, at balancing everything as a single mom, give yourself a little nose boop, boop, and say, silly goose, you did not fail because balancing is a practice. Trust me, your inner child will thank you. It adds a little silliness to the situation and it will hopefully snap you out of that dookie feeling. Okay? 2, this one is really good. This one is a long-term thing though, so it is not necessarily going to deliver instant results, but it'll deliver lasting results, which is most of the things that I share on here are going to deliver lasting results. The boop will help with the instant, but it doesn't necessarily take everything away. But you need lasting results. You don't need lasting results, but like if you're here, it's because you deserve lasting results and that's what's going to serve you best. Okay? Keeping plants. All right? Nurturing plants, being a plant mom, however you want to put it. There's a lot of balance involved in that. Figuring out how to not how to, but finding the right balance of watering the plants, right? That's a practice. Okay. I had a plant for a long time that I literally I thought I was underwatering it. And I thought that that's why it was looking the way it was looking. I thought it may have had root rot or something. And then I spoke to an expert and he's like, yeah, no, you are overwatering it. And I'm like, how am I overwatering it when I haven't watered? Da-da-da. And we talked it out and it made so much sense. And now it's just so much better off. Just like that, right? But like there's still a balance there because even right now I'm looking at her and she's looking a little bit like some of her leaves are a little bit wilted, not fully wilted, but they're getting there. And then some are just perfectly happy. And so I'm like, do I water now? Do I water later? That's me practicing balance, that little thing. Okay. There's also fertilizing it and stuff like that and how much sunlight. It's plants are just tiny humans. Humans are just tiny plants. You know what? It's weird. Both those statements are true, even though the tiny thing. Anyway, yeah. So sunlight, fertilizer, water for the plants, practicing balancing that for a plant, it doesn't even have to be multiple plants, right? Will help you learn the skill, the practice of balance. Okay. And then, oh, and if you don't know where to start, some plants that are great for beginners: pothos, philodendrons, which are, they're kind of like cousins. I don't know if they're actually cousins, but like visually, they're like cousins. Snake plant, although that one's not the best to practice balancing with because you could get away with watering that thing like 3 times a year. ZZ plant, you could get a Diffenbachia. That's that right there, and the one behind it is a philodendron. Diffenbachia plants are quite resilient, quite hardy, but also need a good amount of water most of the time, but can also be overwatered. That's a good one to practice balance with. Okay. But yeah, that's just some. You can also just look up great plants for beginners. I don't recommend getting any type of succulent though. That's the snake plant is also a succulent. It can teach balance, but it's not necessarily like a I just wouldn't start there for this specifically. Okay. Spider plant's a good one too. Okay. Yoga. I know I talked about it before, but it's actually a really good way to practice balance in your body, like feeling balance on a somatic level. So you can just opt for beginner friendly balance flows. Like you can literally type that in on YouTube: beginner friendly balance flow yoga. You'll get a whole bunch of videos. I recommend Ariana Elizabeth. She's great. I don't know. She does have some balance flows. Someone who does really good, slightly challenging, potentially very challenging, depending on your yoga level, actually, balancing stuff without it. It doesn't necessarily say that, but like the way that she sequences her flows are very, like, they require you to work on your balance. Her name is Jess, Jess Yoga on YouTube. I love her flows. They are complicated and a bit obscure enough that it just doesn't feel like your usual run of the mill, like, let's just do a vinyasa. Like her stuff, it makes you balance, it makes you think. It's challenging, but it's not challenging to the, is it challenging to the body? It's just unusual and I really like it. So if that sounds like your jam, definitely go for it. If you want something a little bit more traditional, Ariana Elizabeth or any of the other yogis are probably more your jam. Okay. And then something else, stone stacking. I don't know where mine, I think mine are in my file cabinet, so I will not be extracting them for you today. I should have taken it out. But you can get these little stones, like, and you just stack them and you have to balance them, and you can stack them all different ways depending on your skill level and how much balance practice you do. But that something like that, and honestly you probably don't even need stones for that. You can just start stacking random stuff too. But that's a really good way to practice balance. And I know that these things are tangible and it's like, well, how is this going to help with my life? This is going to help with your balance tolerance, right? Like your tolerance, really not necessarily for balance, but your tolerance for unbalance and your grace with yourself. Because let's be real, as a single mom, you're going to feel unbalanced sometimes. So you need to get real with yourself and ask if you have realistic expectations for what a balanced life looks like for you. Is your way of viewing balance balanced? Or is it incredibly skewed against you because you hold society's expectations for single moms to be able to do everything and not need help and blah 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 because we did this to ourselves and this is what we chose, and da, 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 toxic masculinity and stupidity and ignorance and no accountability and blah blah blah, all the things we hear and see because the world hates single moms. But the thing is, you don't have to hold those ideals. Just because those things are being thrown at you, you just block that shit. Just tick it You just block it. Okay? And if you're listening, I'm doing all kind of weird things with my arms, and you should definitely just come watch the video. No, just kidding. I appreciate you listening to me on the podcast. Do whatever floats your boat. I'm just glad you're here. But yeah, is everything on your plate necessary? Does your plate need to be stacked so high you can't see over it? Right? Can you delegate things? Can you dial back some things? What things can you let go of entirely? Okay, get really clear on this. Like, I recommend that you actually make a list, make several lists, right? Because, like I said, balance is a practice. You're not going to sit here and be like, well, these are all the things on my plate right now, this month or today or whatever. That's going to change. So, like, check in with yourself often on whether or not, like, what your plate is looking like and what needs to be taken off, delegated, whatever. Okay, thrown at someone else's head. Throw it at your baby daddy because you know he need to do some shit. Damn it. Yeah, call that list as much as possible, and then let yourself be unbalanced when you are unbalanced. Like, it's not a shameful place to be. It's not embarrassing. It happens to everyone. Literally everyone. Okay? Like, are we embarrassed? No, there are certain things that happen to everyone that we still get embarrassed about, like farting. People still get embarrassed about that, even though literally everyone farts. Plants fart, animals fart, like ketchup farts, bruh. Okay, I'm sorry. That was a weird tangent. Let yourself be unbalanced. One thing, I feel like I haven't said it here, but like I live by this and it makes such a big difference. Radical self acceptance is your best friend as a single mom. It is your best friend. I don't care if you have an actual best friend, radical acceptance is your actual best friend. From here on out, radical self acceptance is your best friend. Forget your bestie. No, I'm kidding. Love your bestie. But your internal best friend is radical self acceptance. Okay, when you're looking in the mirror and you're having a moment, that radical self acceptance is your best friend. Okay, it is uncomfortable to experience unbalancedness. Is that a word? I don't know. But it is uncomfortable to experience that. I know. I experience it all the time. Okay. Not so much recent. No, yeah, no, yes. I'm having a kombucha moment. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go into your closest GIF. Go into your phone, and then wherever you pick gifts and get gifts from, just put kombucha girl. You'll know what I'm talking about. But being uncomfortable in your unbalanced experience is way better than grasping onto the false idea that balance is achievable and you have it or you don't, and you're desperately clinging to having it and falling extremely hard when life snatches it away. Because life is going to snatch your balance away. You can snatch your own balance away. Your baby daddy can do something stupid that'll snatch your balance away. Things happen. Your kids snatch it. Kids are the biggest balance snatchers in the world, right? But if you are in that headspace of I'm either balanced or I'm not, and I just can't achieve balance, then that stuff sucks. But if you recognize that balance is a skill, when those things happen, it's not I'm failing at balancing, right? It's okay, what can I do to regain my balance? What can I do to mitigate the negative impact of what has happened? Right? You're balancing. You're not balanced or unbalanced, but you are always balancing. Okay? I hope that makes sense, y'all. That I was trying not to be philosophical, but it still ended up being philosophical. I want you to come practice balance with me in the single mom sanctuary. You know why I want you to do it? Because if you go in there and I get a whiff, a singular whiff, that you are thinking in the binary at balance or unbalanced mindset, I'm going to boop you myself. I'm going to boop you and I'm going to say you're a silly goose and that balance is a skill. All you need to do is use this opportunity to practice it. And then I may even give you a little forehead kiss if I'm in the mood. Okay? All right. If you resonated with anything shared today, join us in the Single Mom Sanctuary Discord server and immerse yourself in our amazing community of single moms. The link is in the description, and make sure to hit that follow button. Subscribe if you're watching me on YouTube so you do not miss future episodes where we'll dive even deeper into navigating single motherhood and glowing up in every area of life. See you in the next episode.